Okay, this time we are going to talk about parts of the sine and cosine graphs. All right, so our general form is this. Y is equal to A sine, and this would be our input, or representing the angle, plus C. All right, now we're going to identify what those are. The A stands for what we call amplitude, and this is basically the height of the graph. And the B is what we call the horizontal, or we call it phase shift. And this is going to be going when it's left and right. And the C is our vertical, which is our up and down. And now the other thing we want to identify is something called the midline. And this is basically the quote-unquote axis that the values are going to be starting at when things are 0. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at one. Let's say we have y is equal to 2. Let's just say we have sine x plus 3. Okay, so now let's look at what this graph looks like. It's a bit different than what we talked about. So let's talk about the vertical shift first. It is going up to 3. So 1, 2, 3. So our midline is going to be this dashed line. That's what we call the midline. And then it says our amplitude. So let's write these down first. Vertical is equal to 3, and our amplitude is equal to 2. So the amplitude is going to be up and down value from the midline. Okay, so if we have our midline at 3 and our amplitude is 2, that means we're heading up to 5 and down at 1. All right, so those are going to be the values that we're going to do our sine graphs for. Okay, so remember we were at 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So again, at 0, we're starting at that 0 value. In this case, our midline is 3, so that's where we're going to be at. Pi over 2, we are at the height of the amplitude. Then we're back to the midline. The next value of 3 pi over 2 is that value at 1. And then 2 pi, we are back to that midline. So here we go again, you guys. We have that same sine curve. And again, what we want to talk is the period, which is the length of this. And these that we're working with are going to be 2 pi. When you get into pre-calculus, those are going to be changed based on some more information. All right, so let's take a quick look at the cosine. So here we go. Let's say we have y is equal to 4 cosine of our x, and let's say we go down this time to 2. All right, so again, our vertical shift is down 2. Our amplitude is the 4. Our period is always going to be, for what we are working with, is 2 pi. So what we are going to have is, let's just identify this too. That -2 is what we are going to call the midline. Okay, so if we have our graph, we have this, and our midline is now down at -2. So the midline is basically the base of where you're going to be putting your points. So our amplitude, we said, was 4. So from -2, we're going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to be at 2. And -2, we're going to go down 4. So that's going to be at -6. Now, these are kind of the peaks and the valleys of the curve. So if you remember from the cosine, we are starting at that high value. And let's put those in again. Pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So our next value is at 0 for cosine. Then we're down at the bottom, back to the midline, and up to the top of the amplitude, and this is what it looks like. So if you have questions, you guys be sure and let me know. See you next time.